Hey everybody, Daniel Newman here, principal analyst at Futurum Research, joined by my partner Shelly Kramer, also a principal at Futurum Research, and we are here to talk a little bit about what's going on at Intel today. So, in this edition of the Futurum Tech Webcast, Tech TV, and now live as I'm starting to draw my content onto my LinkedIn Live channel. Shelly, thanks for letting me do it on mine today. Um, Trying to get out there and talk to everybody. But some really interesting news broke this morning, and I've been waiting for this to happen to talk about it. So Intel is launching this brand new campaign. I'm going to show off some of the things they're doing because they nabbed Justin Long. And Justin Long, if you don't remember, was the I am a Mac guy for a long time, likening it to when Sprint grabbed the can you hear me now guy from Verizon. So I thought it was pretty awesome. But first of all, Shelly, good morning. Welcome to the webcast, podcast, tech TV cast, whatever cast it is. And hey, everybody out there, how are you?
Oh, good morning. And good morning, everybody that's hanging out on LinkedIn this morning.
Yeah, it's great to see you all there. I'm really glad to start using LinkedIn Live. Heard so much about it. Don't know why I haven't done it sooner, but I'm really happy to be out there chatting to you all. Setting the background for all this, because we're going to actually show a few of these videos that broke this morning. So this year, a lot of you probably heard Apple went to its own silicon and is now producing what's called the M1 chip. The M1 chip is Apple's flagship MacBook chip, and essentially the company moved away from Intel. And that was after a really long partnership that spanned decades. The year before, Intel moved away from Apple moved away from Intel on the mobile devices, and then Intel actually shuttered that entire business, getting out of the mobile 5G chip space and the iPhone space. So we had a couple of big moments happen, but essentially for a while, Intel has seen AMD, it has seen NVIDIA, it has seen a number of different companies kind of stepping into its territory. And for a long time, Intel sort of ruled the roost with smart devices, with PCs, and still does, but has seen more competition than ever. So this campaign, and by the way, Shelley, you with not only a tech background, but a brand background, I thought it'd be a lot of fun to pop on here and talk about it. Before I show these off, and in case you haven't seen it, I think you'll like it. But what was your first impression when you saw Justin Long jumping on as the new spokesperson for Intel's PC campaign?
Well, I had respect at the brand level for the creative team, both inside Intel and the agency they worked with. And I meant to make time to figure out who that was, and I didn't before this conversation because Justin is so recognizable. And to be fair, Intel is not the first brand to use Justin. Huawei used him not all that long ago in a campaign related to mobile devices. But what I loved about that was just really a couple different things. And first of all, Justin's an actor. He is, down to earth. He's approachable. I watched a bunch of the spots. One of the things I loved about Justin is his age. He's just the right age, I think, to resonate. If you're too young, you don't remember those spots, right? But for a lot of us in that sweet spot of totally watching him in all those spots, it's like, oh my gosh, this is really brilliant. So I loved that. And then I really loved, and we'll show this when we touch on it, but I loved some of the different sort of use cases and nuances. And by the way, longtime Mac user here, my office is filled with Apple products. And I will 100% admit that, as I watch this, I'm like, God, they are so hitting on things that are really relevant to a huge consumer base.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's show them up. All I could say is funny, by the way, is I see dodgeball Justin. I see waiting Justin.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just not that into you, Justin. It's funny because when you see these people go from the big screen, the silver screen, to doing campaigns like this, it's funny. It kind of brings a real human element to it. But as a whole, I thought it was a really shrewd move. I thought it was really clever. And like I said, I feel like Intel's kind of been on the back foot for a while, hasn't necessarily really held its ground or stated its case as firmly as it could. And I think this time, in a very playful way, it's coming out swinging. Let me pop a couple of these on there. So for anybody that's watching this along with us, you can check it out. But there's a whole series that just came out on YouTube. It's funny, by the way, first impression, it's getting a lot of thumbs down. It can't be thumbs down for the quality or the story. This is Apple fanhood here. This is what
It's
people who like Apple are saying. I
100%.
don't care if you come out with the best commercial ever, the funniest, the most satiristic commercial. If you hit every fault in our product line 100% correctly, we are going to defend this company to the death. And by the way, I've written a few op-eds in my day that weren't so Apple bullish, and I have paid the price.
Right.
At least in terms of my likes. Hold on. So here we go. Let's check out a couple of these.
Hello, I'm Justin. Just a real person doing a real comparison between Mac and PC. Come on. These are all PCs? Oh, yeah, Intel. Nice. Whoa, my face just unlocked that. That's so cool. And I've never seen a screen like this before on a laptop. Wow. And let's see over here. So these are the newer Macs?
Yeah.
Okay, so gray and grayer.
There's a couple more. I'm going to fire into the next one.
I like the touch. Yeah, I like the touch screen one, and I liked the.
Hello, I'm Justin. Just a real person doing a real comparison between Mac and PC. Come on. Okay, PC. Oh, cool. This whole thing's a touchscreen. And there's another one too. Wow. All right, and now for Mac. Let's see. Oh, you've got a little bar here. A little baby one.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, where's the mute button?
Here's what I found on how to cook mutton.
Oh, no, I don't want to cook mutton. What even is mutton?
There's
that was
one more. I like the gaming one.
that's exactly what I was. Yeah, exactly what I was going to suggest you watch. I really like that.
Oh, by the way, before we start this, it's just moving so fast. You're like trying to say something, but yeah, I think we both this one. I'm going to start it over real quick, but this was the first one that kind of made me really laugh.
Yeah.
Out loud. Like I was like, oh, that's great. And I'm not a gamer, by the way. I don't know if you are, Shelley.
No, I'm not.
Or a Fortnite player or anything, but I do know gamers build PCs. It's just their thing.
Yeah.
They're these big desktops that look like they're like liquid cooled. It's crazy. Here, hold on. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Justin. Just a real person doing a real comparison between Mac and PC. Come on. Oh, so you're a PC gamer?
Sup?
Sup with you. You're doing all this gaming on a laptop then?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And do we have a Mac gamer?
No one really games on a Mac.
I know.
All right.
So one of the things, when I spoke to his age, that was a great example of it. I mean, he's not super young. He's clearly not immersed in a younger gamer experience. And I felt like that came through with the creative there. I thought that was interesting. I'm not a gamer. I didn't realize people didn't game on Macs. I got that message. I thought that was really interesting. And, to speak to your comments about, the Apple fan club, I read several articles this morning on this, and one of them was intentionally Cult of Mac. And it was so interesting to read the comments because it was like, oh, Intel is so scared and this is so stupid and he's such a loser. And, it was so interesting to read the comments. But I do think, I don't know about Daniel, I know you have kids about the same age as I do, some kids about the same age as I do. And my kids have been using Dell laptops powered by Intel for school. They do geometry homework on a laptop that converts to a tablet and totally touchscreen and everything else. And they both have MacBook Airs that sit in their rooms gathering dust because they have no use for it, and of course, school is tied to their computers. But when I see the vast, use cases for what it is for the PCs that you're using, it only makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, Apple and Mac are great. I still use an iMac. I also use a number of PCs. We're in the business of tech.
Right.
I believe using them all. I will say, if you'd asked me 7 years ago, I would probably have said no way to using anything but a Mac. The experience was just that much better. I think what Intel's really trying to get out is, hey, we've identified some areas in the business in personal use that are truly better. There's one about multi-screens. You know, I love working on multiple large format screens, and you can only do up to one on an M1 Mac. You can only connect one additional screen, which again, for some people, that's more than enough. But
Right.
for certain uses, if you're a stock trader, if you're an editor, if like that does video and rendering, or a
Right.
graphic design, or if you're just like us and I've got 57 documents open at the same time and I want to be able to cross-reference them, connecting to multiple monitors is awesome. I also
Right.
think choice, multi-format. So we've all, again, I have an iPad, I have an iPad Air, I have an iPad Pro, I also have a Mini, I have a MacBook, and I have an iMac. So I have the whole collection. I am a user. I'm not
Yes.
going to deny that. But I like Surface, for instance, has come into my life over the last couple of years. And there's this Surface Book that has the detachable, and you detach the screen and it becomes a tablet.
Right.
How awesome is that? The yoga and the flexible screen, Shelly, the
Yes.
one you can fold 180. And there's actually one of his commercials. He does that. He folds it around and
Yes.
shows it. And then he, someone like hands him the Mac, and then someone hands him an iPad, and then someone hands him a phone,
Yeah.
and someone hands him a Mini, and he's like got the stack of stuff.
Right.
I mean, essentially, that's where we're at. I think to some extent, um, Apple will always have that sort of general use, and it will always have that cool factor. But with certain use cases, gaming, certain use cases for flexibility, for multi-screen, they're finding those opportunities to say we really compete,
Right.
and offer a lot of variety.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. I think it's a great campaign. It's interesting. I'm glad to see Intel, coming out swinging on this topic, deservedly so. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what's ahead here with regard to the chip situation.
Yeah, and I just got off talking about that, and of course we're seeing delays, and Apple right now doesn't have any issues, and Intel actually is its own manufacturer, has its own supply chain challenges that it's overcoming, but not necessarily the same as all these fabless semiconductor companies. But as a whole, the PC market is booming. We saw 25% growth in that last quarter. The demand is up. The OEMs, there's lots of variants now. You're seeing the ARM variants, and of course AMD has its chips, and Intel has done a lot to be more competitive. And now Apple is its own chip maker, which is its own story. And it's going to continue to. We're going to continue to see this kind of vertical integration. The biggest companies are going to do it. But at the same time, like I said, I personally, the thing I liked seeing the most was just Intel sort of saying, like, don't forget who we are and the impact we've had on this space. I mean, if you've been using a PC, you talked about Justin's age. I'm a very old millennial, but our kids, whether it's their Chromebooks,
Right.
in a lot of cases, whether it's their PC, desktop, their phones, Intel's had a big part of their life. And just have the company come out and just say, like, we know our role, and our role is very important in the future of computing.
Right. Well, and I think too, when from a brand side, when you're creating campaigns, you're thinking a lot about who's my audience, and that really, again, is where Justin's age is relevant. A lot of decision makers, Justin's, a few years older than you are, right? And so it's kind of that square, people who are in executive leadership, making buying decisions. I mean, it was perfectly targeted at an audience, and really also explaining things in some ways that an audience, we both came into this saying we're not gamers. We didn't really think about this. Now we're thinking about it, the different use cases. So I really thought it was a well executed campaign.
Absolutely. And by the way, we are the ones that tend to be buying the PCs for the gamers.
Right.
So it's
We
good,
are.
it's good that we are aware. Not that our kids wouldn't tell us what they need, but overall, a very interesting campaign. Thought it was worth a minute to hop on here to the webcast podcast, Future and Tech TV show with you. And of course, like I said, you've always had an eye for brand. And I think, if you didn't notice, by the way, Intel overhauled its entire brand. Its logo has changed. Its identity is changing. The company has a new CEO in Pat Gelsinger, who came over from VMware, actually returning after 20-something years away from the company. And maybe it's a sign of things to come. I mean, like I said, for the past few years, the company's been more passive, despite having more competition and more challenges. And maybe this is kind of like the beginning of the end of that. It sounds to me like they're not going to be pushed over. And of course, Apple's going to be extremely successful with its M1. It is
Right.
not going to fail.
Absolutely.
And there will be newer and new generations. It will impact their other formats and the bigger pros and the desktop iMac. But Intel still has a huge, high double digit percentage of the market for PC and for overall, laptops. And I just think it's a kind of one of those inflection points, Shelley. So we'll have to come back to this.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Yeah, ton of fun. I mean, everyone hit that subscribe button, stick with me on this channel. I'm going to do better on this live stuff. I know it's super popular these days. I did it for a while, got away from it for a while. I'm back with it for a while. I love LinkedIn, especially for this particular channel. I'm going to be bringing more content and more sort of instant reflection on what's going on in the market. For this episode of the Future of Tech webcast, podcast, and TV, I'm going to have to say goodbye for now. Shelley, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Did I say?
You did.
Button.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.